Will Carlton Davis leave the Lions? Or can Detroit keep him? Hey, Lions news fan report fans. Imagine this, you build a solid defense, watch one of your key players shine throughout the season, and then suddenly he might be on his way out. Carlton Davis, a cornerstone of the Lions secondary, is set to test the free agency market, and the big question is, can Detroit hold on to him, or will we see Davis in a different uniform next season? The veteran cornerback had an impressive year in 2024 until he suffered a jaw injury in Week 15 against the Bills. Even so, his performance was strong enough to attract interest from several teams. And it's no surprise, Davis recorded 2 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, and allowed just a 59.7% completion rate. He's a reliable and experienced defender who is now looking for a contract that reflects his talent. The market for Davis is expected to be competitive. Spotrac projects he could sign a 3-year deal worth around $41.3 million, while Pro Football Focus suggests that number could reach $42 million. And one of the main suitors, the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick's team, or rather, now under new management with GM Elliott Wolf, has around $120 million in cap space to upgrade its roster. The Patriots' defense already boasts Christian Gonzalez, an all-pro level talent, and adding Davis to the mix would make perfect sense, transforming their secondary into one of the strongest in the league. But what about the Lions? Should Detroit fight to keep Davis? The team has other areas to address, but losing a player of his caliber without a solid replacement could be a problem. If the Lions decide to let him walk, they'll need to find someone who can maintain the defense's competitiveness. Now, I want to hear from you. Should the Lions re-sign Carlton Davis, or would it be better to look for a new name on the market? Drop your opinion in the comments. And if you want to stay updated on the Lions' off-season moves, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here at Lions News Fan Report, you'll get all the latest updates on our team. Before we assume Carlton Davis is gone, we need to consider some key factors. Can the Lions really afford to part ways with one of their best defenders without a solid plan to replace him? Detroit had a competitive defense last season, and Davis was a crucial piece of the scheme. The team is building an ambitious project under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, and losing an experienced cornerback could be a big risk unless there's a high-level player ready to take over. If the Lions move on from Davis, who could replace him? The draft is an option, as this year's class has some promising secondary prospects. But counting on a rookie to start immediately is always a gamble. Free agency could be another path, but would any available CBs provide the same level of play as Davis? And what about the salary cap? While New England has a lot of money to spend, the Lions also have some financial flexibility. The big question is, should Detroit invest heavily to keep Davis or prioritize reinforcements in other areas like the defensive line or wide receiver group? Davis is 28 years old and still has plenty left in the tank. He brings playoff and Super Bowl experience, which could be crucial for a team trying to build a winning identity. If the Lions let him go, they'll need to replace him wisely, whether through internal development, free agency, or the draft. Now, I want to hear from you, Lions fans. Should Carlton Davis be a priority for the Lions this offseason? Or would it be better to use that money to strengthen other positions? Drop your thoughts in the comments. My take as a Lions fan. As a Lions fan, I'm torn on this situation. On one hand, keeping a veteran like Davis is crucial for maintaining a strong defense. But on the other hand, is it worth paying that price for a CB who missed part of the season with an injury and is already 28 years old? If the Lions really want to keep Davis, they'll have to make cap space, which could mean less money for other needs like the defensive line or even wide receivers. And let's be honest, if Detroit isn't aggressive in re-signing him, he's probably gone. If we lose Davis, what's next? The draft has some interesting options, but relying on a rookie to be CB1 or CB2 right away is always risky. Signing a veteran CB in free agency is another route, but the question is, can anyone on the market match Davis's level? For me, it all comes down to price. If the Lions can get a contract that doesn't hurt other moves, I'd keep Davis without hesitation. But if the price tag gets too high, maybe investing that money in a pass rusher or the offensive line would be a smarter move. So, what should the Lions do? Now I want to hear from you, Lions fans. Should Carlton Davis be a priority this offseason, or is it time to move on and find a new name? Drop your comment, and let's discuss this decision, which could significantly impact the defense's future. And of course, if you want to keep getting all the latest updates on the Lions, subscribe to the channel Lions News Fan Report and turn on notifications. What happens if Carlton Davis leaves? If the Lions decide to move on from Carlton Davis, how will it impact the defense? That's my biggest concern. While there are some solid pieces in the secondary, losing experienced CB could create a difficult hole to fill. Looking at the current roster, we have Cameron Sutton, who had a solid season, and young players like Brian Branch, who can play both slot corner and safety. But are those names enough to replace a starting CB like Davis? The 2025 draft could provide solutions, but that raises another question. Are Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes ready to trust a rookie in such a critical role? Detroit's recent draft history shows they prefer selecting versatile players who can contribute immediately, but depending on a first-year CB to be a key starter is risky. Potential free agency replacements. If the Lions look for reinforcements in free agency, some interesting names could be options. Kendall Fuller, an experienced CB who can play multiple roles in the secondary. Chidobe Awuzie, a cornerback with solid man-to-man coverage skills, something the Lions highly value. However, any new addition would need time to adjust to Detroit's defensive scheme. That's why keeping Davis makes sense. He already knows the system and fits well into the team's defensive philosophy. Is Davis really worth that contract? That's the big question. Paying $41 to $42 million over 3 years isn't outrageous for a top-level CB, but it's not cheap either. If the Lions could sign him for around $36 to $38 million, they might keep Davis without compromising other roster moves.
But if his price gets too high and teams like the Patriots are willing to pay more, maybe each team to let Davis walk. After all, the Lions must think long-term and ensure sustainable team growth. What would he do if he were Brad Holmes? If he were in Brad Holmes' shoes, here's what he'd do. Try to resign Carlton Davis, but not exceed $38 million. If he agrees, great. If he demands too much, let him go and sign an experienced CB like Kendall Fuller or Chidobe Awuzie. Use the draft to find a promising young cornerback to develop. If the Lions make the right decision here, they can strengthen the defense without compromising cap space. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Should the Lions do everything they can to keep Carlton Davis, or is it time to find a new cornerback? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And let's talk about this big decision for the team's future. And if you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report and turn on notifications. Stay tuned for all the latest updates on the Lions. See you in the next video.